Realize that your lender should have just as much passion as you're seeing me have right now to advocate that you and your approval are the best approval that the seller could ever have imagined, and they should choose you. Should I buy in 2022? It's a great question. That great question should only be answered once you've gone through great information. In today's video, we're going to be going over 5 things you need to be able to buy a house in 2022. And before we dive into that, please let me ask you one favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe as well. Why? Because the data that we're bringing out is not the conventional data available to people. And we want to be able to see the waves of algorithms and the way that all that stuff works used in a way to bring this information to every single person possible. And as a quick thank you, here's something really cute to make you smile.
Well, no, you didn't hear this from me, but some little birdie told me.
Point number 1. Know the market. In today's market here in 2022, and majority here in Southern California, what you would identify is the fact that there is so little homes available for sale. This is the term that everyone is using. We have such low inventory, historically low inventory. What does this mean? Well, this means that for the majority of areas, there's 1 to 4 houses available, sometimes up to 7 houses available for every 1,000 people when you look at the homes versus the population. The need for homes to come on the market is substantially high right now.
You're wasting your time with that couple. Just FYI.
Why do you say that?
I saw the guy pull in. He's driving a Saab 9.3, which I'm not a snob. It's a great car, but it costs $30,000. This house must be what, $4.2 million? It doesn't quite compute, right?
Well, I hope that's not the case. He told me he was going to make an offer.
There are not enough houses to fulfill the amount of buyers out there trying to buy houses. And not only is the inventory low, but there's a lot of variables going on. We have investors buying out houses in a way that we haven't seen in really ever for some of us, and in at least near history for others. The competition to bring someone into a home is so high. So understanding that first and foremost, knowing the market, knowing that it's a seller's market, knowing that there's low inventory, knowing that you're going to go and have to compete against so many other people is the first piece of buying a home in 2022. It's understanding what you're getting into as far as competition and expectations. Because if you think that you're going to go out, you're going to find a house you want, and this is what I want, I'm going to place an offer on it and get accepted, there is a 99.9% chance, in my opinion, that's going to happen. I mean, it can, but most likely it will not. Know that getting counter offers, learning the market, finding the right balance of putting your highest and best truly forward at the beginning, learning how to leverage what you're getting the sense, and the listing and your agents getting the sense of what the listing might be looking for, the seller might be looking for, is key in this market. It's reconnaissance, counters that will lead you to an acceptance. That brings me to point number 2. Knowing your lending options. Know what your max is. Realize if somebody says that your max purchase price that you can buy a house at is $900,000, that does not mean that you can go buy any house for $900,000. That means that you have been approved, you've been pre-approved for a monthly payment that equals the $900,000. What do I mean by that? Well, watch some of my other videos when we talk about debt to income ratio and how that works. Figure out what is the max monthly payment, what's the debt to income ratio you've been approved at, and then from there understand that you need to search in that boundary. Understand what HOA, what homeowners insurance, what interest rate, because if interest rates go up, guess what? Purchase power comes down. If there's an HOA, purchase power can potentially come down. If there's an insurance, purchase power can potentially come down. And sometimes lenders, they try to already buffer it for you and they tell you you're pre-approved, but they leave themselves a buffer and they don't tell you. Make sure you understand it so you know when you're out there competing in a market with a very low inventory, what your max purchase power is. So when you need to decide what's highest and best, when they give you that counter, you then can go, this is my highest. And you can look at different options of buying the rate down to maybe bring it higher and seeing how to pull the levers to get you the success you need. And then understanding what future impact does this have. Too many times we will get lost going, I don't know if it's worth me paying an extra $10,000 on this house if it means that I'm going to get accepted. We want to look at things and go, okay, is me paying, quote unquote, a higher $10,000 on a sticker price that was, not really a sticker price, that was just a test to see what other people are going to offer, right? Because the value of the home is truly defined by what somebody's willing to pay. It's not defined necessarily by just what somebody's willing to list at. And you're looking at $10,000, ask yourself, what impact will this have in the future? Well, one of the impacts it might have is you just set a new comp and you might literally trigger other houses to now sell at a higher price point. And then all of a sudden, within 3 months, boom, everyone is caught up or exceeded the price you even bought your house for. And it's a moot point. At that point, you got a house. Yeah, you might have paid for it a little bit higher sooner, but now the value's there again. Or in addition, when you look at the amount of appreciation and equity you're going to build over 10 years and you go, is this extra that I wasn't prepared for mentally, but is this extra going to be worth that long-term return? Could be. And even more importantly, if I don't make this move, this, let's call it $10,000 in purchase price, and I keep waiting, and it takes me another 3 months to buy a house, and now interest rates have gone up another 0.5 point, how much more in interest will I pay in the next few years? And is that $10,000 worth it or not? No one here is trying to pressure you guys to make decisions. But again, a key to buying in 2022 is understanding how to think differently. Because the way we've all thought about buying a product, getting it immediately for the price we presume, that is not how you buy a house successfully in 2022. That is how you set yourself up for a lot of depression, in my opinion, in buying a house in 2022. You're not just looking at short-term return of money. You're looking at short-term return of stress, right? Is it going to be less stressful for me to buy now? The return of being able to get your lifestyle quicker into the neighborhood and area you want. And most of all, the long-term return of money. Take those things in consideration as you think through what is best for you and your future. Number 3, know your loan options and the impact they'll have in the community you're trying to buy. What does this mean? Well, this means that when the sellers in that community or listing agents hear VA or FHA, do they think difficult loan and I want to ignore it? When they hear jumbo, are they thinking slow process? When they hear down payment assistance, are they thinking no way? When they hear conventional with a FICO score of 700, are they presuming that you just don't qualify? Your first response to this might be, who the heck cares what loan I'm getting? The seller is going to get their money. I completely understand that. But the reality is the seller and the listing agent care. Because historically speaking, they've probably had experiences or they've been told of experiences where an FHA didn't perform because the appraiser was too picky, or a VA was just more difficult because the seller has to pay all the termite repairs, or the jumbo was just a pain in the butt because, the bank took so long to do this and then this, that, and the other, or the conventional at 700, that doesn't actually qualify. You need a higher credit score. There is so many myths in buying real estate. It's not even funny. So what is my advice? My advice is if you know that VA is a challenge, have a conventional backup if you can. And in addition to that, if you know that people are going to misunderstand VA, well, make your team clarify it for them. Your buyer's agent, guess what? Can speak to the listing agent. And even more of a surprise, your lender can speak to the listing agent. If your lender is not calling, trying to advocate why the VA option is a fantastic option for you, or the FHA option is a fantastic option for you, and how the hurdles of what they presume is outdated and has been a myth of telephone game that's gone around and been way, way more blown out of proportion than what it should have been when it's not that difficult. The seller doesn't have to pay for termite repairs. It's just someone other than the veteran can't pay for the termite report, and FHA is really only looking for safety and hazard issues, and it's actually a really fantastic loan to still be able to close. And yeah, I've closed it in less than 21 days, right? All these myths that come out, realize that your lender should have just as much passion as you're seeing me have right now to advocate that you and your approval are the best approval that the seller could ever have imagined, and they should choose you. That is what we need to make sure we understand. When we look at low inventory, when we look at trying to identify what is going to be our max and what is the best for you and your family, you also need to have people who fight for you to make sure that whatever loan products you have, those advocates you choose are going to be the loudest and most effective advocates for you in getting that offer accepted. This brings me to point number 4. Have the right offer strategy. Now that we've set a really great foundation for what this market looks like and what can happen in it, let's talk a little bit about the psychology of what's going on. Realize that a seller puts a house on the market for various reasons. And in those various reasons, you as the buyer have the job to convince the seller to accept your offer. How do you do that? Well, it's not just price. Price is only one factor of convincing and influencing a seller to accept your offer. Another factor is speed. How fast are you going to get them their money? Right? If they're looking at one offer, 30-day close, and they're looking at another offer, 15-day close, they might need their funds sooner because maybe they need to go finish putting the rest of their money into the next house that they're going into, or maybe they're trying to sell property that they inherited and they all just want the money quicker so they can all disperse and continue on with a really hard situation because of a death in the family, right? There are always so many factors involved, but speed can be a big differentiator between them waiting for the other person's offer, even if it's a little bit more money, and them wanting yours. The other factor is risk. What do I mean by risk? Well, keep in mind, you as a buyer have contingencies, which mean that you have the right to cancel and still have your money protected. That is a great thing for you, but that also for the seller is a risk because that means that they've accepted your offer, they're stuck with you, and if you cancel, you can walk away, take all your money with you, your deposit, and they get left with the short end of the stick. They have to pay another month's mortgage. They have to go back on the market. They have to try to find the right buyer again. The stress, the time, the money. It's a risk. Contingencies are a big piece for them. 4th, desire. Has your buyer's agent reached out to their listing agent to make sure the listing agent knows that this is going to be the smoothest transaction ever and you know what you're doing as a buyer? You're not trying to come window shop. You're not trying to, mess around and ask for ridiculous things, not understanding that this is the type of market it is, but you are a serious buyer and your buyer's agent is a serious agent who's completed the contract correctly. They've done what they needed to do. They're on top of their game, and the listing agent and seller both know that working together is going to be really, really smooth. And then another part of that desire piece that we just talked about in point 3 is having that lender call as well. Having that teamwork from lender and realtor come in with synergy, showing how good and how much better your transaction experience is going to be with you than with the other offers is huge. Now, keep in mind, in today's market, speed, risk, and desire, those three don't necessarily make you have the golden ticket. The first is still price. Price gets you into the game. Price gets you in the last round. These other 3, most of the time, are going to help you win it. And knowing all 4 of those things, having a backup plan is also good as well. We have a actual capital partner. They will buy the house cash on your behalf and then give you the opportunity to buy it back from them once the house is closed. Through qualification means and other requirements that are necessary. But having that ace in your pocket that, okay, well, if I need to go all cash and just close in 10 to 15 days, no contingencies because I'm all cash, is really, really important. So if you want to have a good strategy to buy in this market, have that strategy with all 4 of those pieces of leverage with the seller, and then put for yourself a backup plan with your lender to make sure you can still execute and get into that home. Number 5, buying in this crazy market is potentially going to put you in a place where you're going to end up paying more than what you were expecting, and you might feel uncomfortable. What's really crucial, and what I would say is the most important step out of all 5, is knowing that you need to have a mortgage and real estate management team once you close. What does that mean? Well, that means that you should have a team that's dedicated to not just send you recipes or a closing gift. You should have a team who's proactively giving you tools to help you stay on top of your equity, on top of where rates are at, on top of how you protect that asset, on top of how you leverage that asset, both with taxes and other factors into other homes so that you can make the right retirement plans. You should have a team who's dedicated to you, right? When I have continued to learn and be guided by extremely successful and wealthy people, one of the things that I've come to an understanding is that wealthy people are not wealthy just because they have money. They're wealthy because they have access to great information. There's something called a family office for the ultra wealthy. This is a concept where anytime they have questions, they have a team of a lawyer or lawyers, estate planning attorneys, right? All those type of lawyers. So they have their lawyers, they have their CPAs, they have financial advisors, they have mortgage consultants, they have real estate agents, they have health physicians, they have so on and so forth. All these groups of people that really their job is to just make sure that person stays successful. For the common man, we don't necessarily get that. But there are mortgage teams out there that are trying to change the way clients expect service from their mortgage companies and service from their mortgage teams. So if you buy strategically, because if you don't, the cost is at best you overpay for a house because you've not understood these 5 things. And at worst, you place way too many offers, you never get into a home, and the affordability you once had passes you by. You end up not getting the house you want and stay renting, paying somebody else's. Like, comment, let me know any other thoughts you have. Let me know anything you want me to expand upon. Share with me any objections to any of the information I shared or desires for clarity around anything. I can't wait to chat with you more, and I'll see you in the comments.